Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Leviticus, the 15th chapter. And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when any man hath a running issue out of his flesh. Now, a running issue is dealing with a discharge, and this flesh is talking about their body. In particular, it's a euphemism here for their reproductive organ. Okay, the male reproductive organ. So let's look into a few of these here. First, let's look into the word for a running issue, and then the word for flesh. And this is going into like some sort of infection or disease. I think infection might be a better word. Today you have examples like gonorrhea, right, and stuff like that. But here, going into the issue, right, the running issue, it says to flow, gush, issue, discharge, right, to flow of issue from woman to have an issue. So this is dealing with discharge, right, coming from the flesh, the man's flesh. When you go into that word flesh, right, it says flesh of the body of humans, of animals, the male organ of generation, meaning this is a euphemism sometimes that's used to refer to the male reproductive organ. All right. So when we go back to the word running issue, which deals with a discharge, if you look here further in the Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, you'll see like one example here. It says to flow, properly use of water, and there are precepts for it. Then it says it is also often used of the female catamenia, and then you have Leviticus 15 and 25, or of seminal emission, which is dealing with ejaculation or busting a nut, to put it in modern terms, or gonorrhea of males. And here you have the example, Leviticus 15 and 2, where we are. And let's type in here, what is symptoms of gonorrhea. Yeah, in men. So it says here, in males, gonorrhea often shows as a burning sensation when peeing, unusual penile discharge, okay, yellow, green, or white, and sometimes sore, itchy anus, rectal discharge, or throat pain. And then it goes on. So this is one example, right? Sure, there are other cases as well, but this is just an example of like what that would look like concerning a running issue, right, from his flesh. It says, because of his issue, he is unclean. So the man becomes unclean, right, who has now contracted this issue. It says, and this shall be his uncleanness in his issue. So this is going to be, the protocol or the case concerning him being unclean because of this discharge. Whether his flesh run with his issue or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. So regardless of whether the discharge stops or continues, the fact that he had it or has it, this condition makes him unclean. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue, so if that issue is the discharge, obviously, whatever bed he lies on, that the discharge then comes upon is unclean. And it may not even be directly, right? It may go through his garments and then touch the bed, and now it's unclean. And everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until even. So if you end up touching said individual's bed, you need to wash your clothes and wash yourself, and you will be unclean until even. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat, that hath the issue, shall wash his clothes. So somebody with this issue sits somewhere, you go and sit in the same place, you now need to wash your clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue shall wash his clothes. Now this is more so just like the body. If you touch any part of your body, okay, I don't think that you're going to be going around, I mean, that includes their reproductive organ, but I don't think that's something that anybody just goes and touches, right? It says, and bathe himself in water, right? And be unclean until even. So that's like having physical contact with this person. And if he that hath the issue spit on him that is clean, so one that is, you're clean, you're good, you're not unclean, and this this guy, I don't know, he talks and spit, just flies on you, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. That is the one that was spit on. And what saddle soever he rideth upon, we all know what a saddle is. If not, you can look it up. That hath the issue shall be unclean. So this man with the issue, he's riding an ass or a camel or a donkey or whatever. Donkey is an ass. The saddle that he uses is now unclean. And whosoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean until the even. So anything that he sat on or anything like that. And he that beareth any of those things, bearing is like to hold or carry, shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And whomsoever he toucheth that hath the issue, and hath not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes. So if the one with the issue touches you without washing his hands, you that are touched will wash your clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And the vessel of earth that toucheth, that he toucheth, which hath the issue, shall be broken. So any earthen vessel, a jar, a vase, if he touches it, uses it, you can't reuse that. It got to be destroyed. And likely, they might just, he might just use it for the duration of his issue. And then once he's healed, it would have to be broken. Nobody else would use it. And every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, so once he's healed of it, or has it no more, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing. So once he's healed of this, he's going to give himself a 7-day period for his cleansing. And he's going to wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in running water, that's clean water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord Yahweh unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest. And the priest shall offer them, one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord Yahweh for his issue, and because it made him unclean. And so that handles the case with, discharge of a man. Next case here, it says, and if any man's seed of copulation go out from him. The seed of copulation is dealing with your, I guess you could say your sperm, right? Or semen, or, the white liquid that comes out of you, right? That. When you go into the seed and copulation, it'll tell you that. Okay, it says here, Zarai, seed sowing offspring, semen viral, right? Offspring, descendants, posterity. Okay, so that's what that seed is talking about. And the word copulation, what's that? Shakaba or shakba. It says here, the act of lying, as in laying down, act of lying of sexual relations. Okay, So basically, if you bust a nut or if you ejaculate, um, and that it says, if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until the even. So when you that's why the act of sex also makes you unclean, because in most cases than not, your seed of copulation goes out from you during the act of sex. And every garment and every skin, the skin here is talking about like an animal hide or animal skin. So every garment or every material made of, I guess you could say, leather or animal skin, whereon is the seed of copulation. So anything that the seed of copulation touched shall be washed with water and be unclean until the even. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation. So the woman that when it says lie, it means you have sex with your, you get it on, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the even. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, so that was dealing with the seed of copulation. Now this is dealing with a woman's menstruation, right? So if a woman have an issue and her issue in her flesh be blood, that is her menstruation, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Her bed, her chair, all that, her garment. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And whosoever toucheth anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And if it be on her bed, or on anything whereon she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the even. And the it is her menstrual discharge. Okay, that blood, or yeah. And if any man lie with her at all, so if you go and have period sex, right? You go and have intercourse with this woman that is on her cycle, you could say, and her flowers be upon him. That flowers is talking about the blood of the menstruation, her waste or her discharge gets on you. He shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, so this she has this issue, but let's say it either runs long, or it's, as it says, out of the time of her separation, which is 7 days. So maybe it extends beyond that, or anything to that degree. It says here, or if it run beyond the time of her separation. There you go. All the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. So the days of her separation is that 7 days, right? So what this is saying is, so as long, however long that her issue of blood continues, you would treat that period of time the same way you would treat those 7 days of her separation, right? Where everything that she touches is unclean and so on. That's how you would handle this case, because she would still be unclean. Every bed whereon she lieth, all the days of her issue, shall be unto her as the bed of her separation, so it'll be unclean. And whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then shall she number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord Yahweh for the issue of her uncleanness. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that ye die not in their that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. What this means is, these are the protocols so you can tell when an Israelite is unclean and how they would become clean and what you would do. This way, nobody that is unclean comes unknowingly or out of ignorance and defiles the Lord's tabernacle. Okay, say they come to bring a peace offering, but they're unclean, but nobody broke down what it means to be unclean, what makes you unclean, and they just come in there like that. They've defiled the Lord's tabernacle, and he's not down with that. That's why he said to make sure that they don't suffer that penalty of death through being unclean and defiling the Lord's tabernacle. He gave you these laws and these ways to handle uncleanness. Verse 32, this is the law of him that hath an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers. The sick of her flowers means she's on her menstrual cycle. Hence they get their, cramps and so on and so forth. And of him that hath an issue of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. So this law covers all those cases, for a man, for a woman, and for anybody that lies with a woman that has this issue. All of that is handled here. And that brings us to the end of the book of Leviticus, the 15th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.